I grew up in the leafy suburbs of Montclair, New Jersey, a town of sprawling Victorian houses and meticulously manicured lawns, a stark contrast to the internal turmoil I kept hidden. I was a sensitive child, more drawn to art and literature than the boisterous games of the other boys. I remember long afternoons spent lost in the pages of fantasy novels, dreaming of faraway lands where acceptance wasn't a whispered wish but a given reality. It was during the sweltering summer of my 16th year that the first cracks appeared in the carefully constructed facade I presented to the world. I came out, not with a bang, but with a series of tentative whispers, each one a little louder, a little more definite than the last. The first hesitant declaration came during a tense Sunday dinner, the aroma of roast chicken doing little to soothe the knot of anxiety in my stomach. I think I might be gay, I stammered, my gaze fixed on the intricate floral pattern of the tablecloth. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the ticking of the clock on the mantelpiece. My parents exchanged a long, unreadable look, and I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. The second time, a few weeks later, was to my closest friend, Liam, under the vast, star-studded canvas of a summer night sky. "I'm gay," I said, the words finally taking shape outside the confines of my own mind. Liam's response, a simple but heartfelt "okay," was a small beacon of acceptance in the storm raging within me. But the final, definitive pronouncement came at the end of August, at a raucous beach bonfire party, the crackling flames mirroring the burning certainty that had finally taken root within me. "Yeah, no, I am. I really am gay, and this is irreversible," I declared, the words ringing out over the crashing waves and the laughter of my friends. That time, there was no hesitation, no uncertainty, only a profound sense of finally being true to myself. But coming out wasn't the end, it was just the beginning. I found myself grappling with a self-imposed checklist of what it meant to be a valid gay man. This internal checklist, fueled by societal stereotypes and media portrayals, dictated a rigid set of expectations: frequenting pulsating nightclubs with thumping electronic music, navigating the dimly lit, smoke-filled atmosphere of gay bars, cultivating a fashionable wardrobe that screamed urban chic, and, most importantly, engaging in specific sexual acts. The pressure to conform was immense, not only to satisfy the expectations of my family and community, but also, and perhaps more importantly, to validate my own identity in my own eyes. I felt a desperate need to prove to myself, and to the world, that I was a real gay man. At 18, after graduating high school in Indiana, where my family had briefly relocated for my father's work, I felt a pull towards something more, a desire to escape the confines of my small-town existence and explore the world. My senior year had unexpectedly ignited a passion for theater. I'd started writing about dramatic theory, analyzing plays with a sharp, insightful eye, and the positive feedback I received spurred me to consider a career as a playwright. London, with its rich theatrical history and vibrant art scene, seemed like the natural choice. So, at 19, I packed my bags and embarked on a new chapter, enrolling in a prestigious theater program in the heart of the city. London was a whirlwind of new experiences, a sensory overload of sights, sounds, and smells. But beneath the excitement, I carried the weight of my internal checklist. I was still deeply insecure about my sexuality, still struggling to reconcile my identity with the expectations I felt I had to meet. I was, by my own admission, incredibly inexperienced. I was still learning to accept that I was gay, and even more so, to accept that I could be a sexual being. It was in London that I had my first experiences with anal sex. They were, to put it mildly, unsettling. The act felt unnatural, uncomfortable, even painful. I derived no pleasure from it, yet my partner seemed to find it intensely gratifying. This disconnect created a deep sense of unease within me. I felt like I was failing some unspoken test, that I wasn't measuring up to the standard of gay sex that had been ingrained in my mind. These early encounters cast a long shadow over my subsequent sexual experiences. I began to dread intimacy, the anticipation of the inevitable request for anal sex hanging over me like a dark cloud. Every encounter seemed to follow the same predictable pattern: initial excitement and connection, followed by the dreaded moment when the conversation would turn to anal sex, and I would be forced to confront my discomfort and reluctance. Then I met Julian. We were collaborating on a new musical, our shared passion for theater bringing us together. Our creative partnership soon blossomed into a romantic relationship. But even with Julian, someone I genuinely cared for, I couldn't escape the pressure of the checklist. Our sexual relationship, while initially exciting, quickly became a source of anxiety. The constant pressure to perform, to meet Julian's expectations of what gay sex should be, left me feeling exhausted and emotionally drained. I longed to say no, to express my discomfort, but I was terrified of being judged, of being seen as repressed or sexually inadequate. I'd lie there after sex, feeling vulnerable and exposed, and hear Julian's words echoing in my ears, "You're so repressed, you just need to get over it." Or, even worse, "That was really good. I don't understand why you didn't enjoy it." These comments, delivered with a mix of confusion and frustration, cut deep, reinforcing my feelings of inadequacy. When our relationship ended, I found myself back on the dating apps, both in London and after returning to the States. The same pattern repeated itself, a cycle of initial connection followed by the inevitable, uncomfortable culmination. I knew what to expect. I even sought out encounters knowing they would follow this pattern, as if resigned to my fate. After returning from London, I finally had my own apartment, a small studio in a bustling neighborhood. One evening, I connected with a man on an app. This man, whose name I barely remembered, was in town on business, staying at a nearby hotel. We met for drinks, the conversation flowed easily, and the atmosphere was relaxed and comfortable. Eventually, we returned to the man's hotel room. The intimacy progressed naturally, from conversation to light touches to kissing. But then something different happened. We lay together, close but not engaging in penetrative sex. There was intense physical contact, grinding, frottage, a level of intimacy I had never experienced before without the pressure of anal sex. As we approached climax, I felt myself tense up, the familiar anxiety creeping in. But then the man looked at me, his eyes filled with genuine concern, and simply said, "Why are you so tense? Just relax." I took a deep breath and I did. The experience was transformative. It was one of the most fulfilling sexual encounters I'd ever had. It was a revelation. A lightbulb moment. I realized that sex didn't have to be a performance, a rigid adherence to a checklist. It could be about connection, intimacy, and mutual pleasure, without the pressure of specific acts. This man had accepted me, not for what I did in the bedroom, but for who I was. This experience happened just before the pandemic. The subsequent lockdowns and social distancing measures brought a halt to in-person interactions, forcing everyone into a period of introspection. During this time, I found myself reflecting on that pivotal encounter. I began researching different sexual identities and preferences, moving beyond the simplistic categories of top, bottom, and verse. That's when I stumbled upon the work of Joe Cord, who spoke about sides, gay men who don't prioritize penetrative sex. The term resonated deeply with me. The more I read and the more I connected with others who identified as sides, the more I felt a sense of belonging, a sense of finally finding my place within the gay community. After the pandemic restrictions eased, I returned to the dating apps, this time with a newfound sense of confidence. I openly identified as a side, stating my preferences clearly and unapologetically. This simple act of self-acceptance changed everything. Finding the term side and embracing that identity allowed me to dismantle the internal checklist that had haunted me for so long. I finally understood that my worth as a gay man wasn't contingent on my sexual performance. My journey is a testament to the importance of self-discovery and acceptance. I learned that if you feel out of place in a community you thought you belonged to, the best thing you can do is lean into your true self. By embracing my identity as a side, I not only found greater sexual satisfaction but also attracted people who appreciated me for who I truly was. I finally understood that sex should be pleasurable, enjoyable, and amazing. And that being a side is a completely valid and fulfilling way to experience intimacy.